Hi, it's Doug here. I'm at Llewellyn Park in April 2025 and I'm here for my third and highly likely final series of disc golf tips for newer beginners. And this series of tips is for players who are going to play in some sort of structured competition like a social day, a league day, a tournament. So these are things to consider and think about if you're playing in a disc golf tournament and you're not that experienced. So we're going to go a little deeper here. But hopefully there's a tip or two in here that will help you get through it. My first tip for players playing in tournaments who potentially aren't that experienced is to do some thinking off the clock. So when you're in a tournament or some sort of structured play, you're expected to get your shot off in 30 seconds. Now the rules are a little vague here, but basically I think the wording of the rule is from the moment you've assessed your lie, you have 30 seconds to select your disc and throw your shot. That's not a lot of time. So what I tend to do is I try to think off the clock. So what that means is when I've thrown a shot, I may have 5 minutes before my next shot. So during that time, I'll spend a little bit of that 5 minutes. I'll talk about the rest of that 5 minutes a little later on. I'll spend a little bit of that 5 minutes saying, right, I've landed down there. I know I'm roughly this far out, and I know I'm probably going to be throwing this disc. So I've done all my assessment while I'm waiting for my next shot. I'm not waiting to get to my lie before I do all that thinking. So I think off the clock. It keeps the pace of play up. Your card mates will appreciate it. And when you get up there, you say, right, yep, that was right. I have to throw this disc. I knew that. Sometimes you get there and you think, oh, okay, that wasn't what I was expecting, especially if you don't know the course that well. Then you may have to spend some of that 30 seconds to have a reassessment. But think off the clock while you're walking up to your next disc, and your card mates will thank you for it. The round will go much quicker. My next tip, which is totally unscripted, is because I've just lost a disc, not that one. I threw 4 discs off hole 3, and that's one more disc than I can remember where it landed, is when you're playing a tournament or structured play, watch everybody's disc. You're kind of mandated by the rules to do this anyway, otherwise you can get hit by a courtesy violation. But if you can see where everybody's disc landed, or get a rough idea of where it landed, then you can basically find discs quickly. No one will be assessed a lost disc penalty. And if you're the Johnny on the spot who helps people find discs, they're going to be more inclined to help you find discs. So if you've thrown a bad shot, don't sort of turn away in disgust and have a mutter to yourself. Watch everybody's throws, because they'll thank you for it if they know where their disc landed. So just watch your discs. You'll make them much easier to find. Don't be like me, who has just lost an axiom rhythm on hole 3 at Llewellyn. Watch discs. My next tip for the newer player who may be playing a tournament for the first time is just be a little bit selfish out there. Now what I mean by this is you're probably going to be a little bit anxious. You're probably going to want to rush. You might be on cards with people you don't know. You'll be on a card with mates who know each other. They'll be chatting. They'll be chirping in the background, talking to each other while you're on the box. They're not supposed to do that. So don't be afraid just to step off if you hear some noise behind you. They're meant to be quiet. There are rules, courtesy violations that you can inflict, but I've never heard of a courtesy violation being called in Australia, so you probably get ostracised if you did that. But there's no harm in just stepping back, waiting for a bit of quiet, especially around the putting green. If someone's moving in your line or they're talking behind you, just step back, wait, reset, and don't go until you're ready. You've paid your entry fees. Just be a little selfish out there. Just waiting for some foot traffic to clear off the hole, so I'll just pop in another tip. And this one's a little deeper, and it took me a few years to work this out. So I'm going to tell you a story. I started in July 2019, and I played for 6 months pretty much by myself and with my wife and son. And when I was just starting to play in tournaments and structured play, COVID hit. So that kind of wiped that out for 12 months. So for the first 18 months of my disc golf, I was basically playing by myself. Now, a round by myself would be probably a dual tee round at Bald Hill, and it would take me about 45-50 minutes just to whip around. I'd come home, my scores were coming down, everything was awesome. We came out of COVID, I joined the Melbourne Disc Golf Club, started playing sort of social days, league days, and my scores were 6 to 8 strokes worse than what I was doing by myself. And for 12 months, I couldn't work out why this was happening. Why couldn't I shoot the same rounds in a league day than I was shooting by myself? Just couldn't work it out. It kind of sent me into a dark place before I learnt to calm down and not worry about it. Everyone goes there. Everyone's been there. What I worked out, a couple of things. First, I was anxious, maybe just naturally anxious, don't know. So I just basically had to get over that by just reps, just play lots and lots of league days, just get used to it. But the thing that I really worked out was the cadence of a round. I was playing a round by myself in 55 minutes, but a league day round was taking 2.5 hours. And what I found was I was always switched on during these 2.5 hour rounds, and I was just fried by the end of it. I was getting anxious. Why are we taking so long? You're basically playing 5 times slower, 4 to 5 times slower. You're playing the pace of the slowest player on your card when you're playing a structured round in a tournament or a league day. So you've got to get used to that. It took me 2 years to get used to that. So what I try and do now is I just accept that these rounds are going to be a lot slower. It's not what I've practiced for. So when I throw my shot, I just accept that it might be 5 or 6 minutes before I throw my next shot. And I just go and look at a bird, or I look at a tree, or I just go look at some flowers, or just find something to switch off. So an earlier tip I said was to basically do your thinking off the clock. Do a little bit of thinking off the clock. Work out, okay, I'm over there, that's probably my next shot. I've got that banked away, don't have to worry about it now. Then I'll just switch off for 4 minutes, and I'll I'll sort of look. You've got to watch the other players play because you've got to see where their shots land. But I'm not focused, I'm not switched on, I've basically turned off my disc golf game for 4 minutes just to rest my mind a little. So just be aware when you start playing structured play, it's going to be slower and it may not be what you've practiced for. So don't waste 2 years worrying about it like I did. Just accept that may be a reason why you're not playing as well during a structured round, and come up with some mental tips to get around that, because slow players are slow players. Let's talk about the weather. I could spend 15 minutes talking about playing disc golf in weather, but I'll just try and keep it to a few simple dot points. You'll probably, if you're like me, just practice when it's nice and calm and there's not much wind, there's no rain, you just go out and play and you have fun and you shoot awesome. Then you're playing in a tournament or a social day, a league day, and it's wet, it's windy, you've got no control over the weather and you haven't practiced for it. So, tip number 1, practice in inclement weather. Tip number 2, if it's hot, take about twice as much water as you think you need and find shade. Tip number 3, if it's windy, throw flat as you can, throw a little bit more over stable and just play conservatively and accept that your score is going to be a little worse. Now, rain. We could go into a deep dive about rain. Rain is tough. Take lots and lots of towels. I'll try and put a little photo up in the corner here of my wet weather gear. Basically, I try and take a terry toweling, not a microfiber, a terry toweling cloth in a Ziploc bag for every 9 holes. Every 9 holes I'll break out a nice fresh one and watch my card mates eyeing me with jealousy. Terry toweling, I think dry discs better than microfiber for me. Throw base plastic in the wet, you get a little bit more grip. So I'm throwing a bit of MVP stuff at the moment. I will change my drivers out to Electron and just try and throw those. Electron Terra is a great wet weather disc. Stay dry, waterproof pants, waterproof shoes, a waterproof shell for your like a jacket. So stay as dry as you can. An umbrella in my cart, which you can see here. I have a bracket up here which I can put a brolly on, and I just have the brolly mounted and up so I can just shelter during my 5 minutes waiting for other players. So just take a little bit of time to stay as dry and as comfortable as you can, and no matter what the weather, whether it's hot, cold, windy, try and stay calm. If you can stay calm and just accept that weather is happening while all your competitors are melting down around you, getting hypothermia or whatever, just getting early releases with slippery discs, you'll gain strokes on them. So stay calm, take preparations for weather, and I think you'll get some benefits. As you start playing disc golf, you will suddenly come across the term your rating, your PDGA rating, your disc golf metrics rating, some other UDisc rating. That's even a thing now. What does this mean? This is basically an assessment of your disc golf game against other players. And my advice for newer players is try to detach yourself from worrying about your rating as soon as possible. You can go to a dark place pretty quickly if you start worrying about your rating. If you don't worry about your rating is likely to go up. I'll tell you a story. I was playing in a PDGA league a couple of years ago down at Inverleigh. I drove 2 hours down there. I bounced out of the car. I found I was drawn on a card with an MPO player from Geelong, and I walked over to the tee. I was going to say hi, but the first question he said was not, "Hi Doug, how you going?" It was, "What's your rating? What's your rating?" I didn't even know what my rating was. I said, "I think it's 860, but why do you need to know?" And he said, I just need to know how much to beat you by so my rating doesn't go down." So don't be that player. Don't worry about your rating to that extent that you have to crush your opposition. Your rating will look after itself. So as a new player, your rating's likely to go up as you improve, and sort of rejoice in it going up, but don't obsess and don't get depressed about it going down. Ratings take care of themselves. I don't worry about it, and since I stopped worrying about ratings, my rating's gone up, so go figure. So ratings are a thing. Embrace it if you want to be that player, but don't worry too much about it. As you step into tournaments and structured play, it's a good idea to have a basic idea of etiquette. So a few basic tips: be quiet when others are throwing. They're supposed to have a quiet 30 seconds to throw and putt. Don't be any closer to the basket than the player who is throwing, so don't be ahead of them. You'll be in their line of vision and it may put them off. Be a good card mate, don't be a jerk. No foul language, you can get stroked for that. Not that I've ever seen it happen. Keep pace of play up. Watch everybody's disc. Just keep it light and breezy. Don't be the guy that says, "Oh, that's a tester putt." You can get stroked for that as well. So yeah, just respect other players' game. Be quiet. Let them play. They'll let you play, and just enjoy it out there. Just have a basic idea of etiquette, and it'll be a better experience for everybody. This tip for the newer player is maybe one of the more important tips if you're just starting out in tournaments, and that is to know your lane and stay in your lane. As you're starting out, you're probably going to be possibly the worst player on your card. You're probably going to be teeing off last. You're going to watch all these awesome players ahead of you, relatively awesome, they'll seem awesome, throw these amazing shots, and you're going to feel like you're going to have to step up there and just throw really, really hard just to match them. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Know your game, stay in your lane, and just stick to it. You don't have to be a hero out there. They don't care how you play. They'll just play their game. You play your game. Don't try and be a hero and imitate anybody better than you. Just stay in your lane, throw the shots you know, take your pars. They'll probably be throwing a million miles an hour, skipping OB or skipping into the woods and taking bogeys while you're just plodding up the middle, staying in your lane and taking a par. So yeah, stay in your lane. Important. I'm going to bring this to a close. I want to thank you for watching. Just going to close out by just having a chat about disc golf in general and how it's a self-adjudicating sport. We're meant to basically adjudicate our fellow card mates and be fair about it. So there is a set of PDGA rules that you should be familiar with. I've tried to read it 6 or 7 times, and I even passed the PDGA tournament director exam, so theoretically I should know them, but to be honest, I find them a fairly nebulous set of guidelines rather than an actual set of coherent rules. Maybe that's just me coming from a technical background, I don't know. But anyway, it's a self-adjudicating sport. You're meant to call foot faults, you're meant to be spotting discs when they go OB and giving the players the correct and fair spot. But as it's a self-adjudicating sport, it can very much depend on which card you're on. So just try and be fair, give the player the benefit of the doubt if you can't come to a decision, know the rules, and just try and adjudicate fairly out there. It can get tricky, it can get a little testy and tense if you're trying to give the correct call, and and no one else agrees with you. I played the Mando Madness a couple of weeks ago, and I was fairly sure a Mando was missed, but the other three players who were pretty much at right angles to the Mando said no, the Mando was made. So I was outnumbered 3-1, even though I saw the Mando was missed. So you just got to be fair. You give the call that you think is right, and if you're outvoted, you're outvoted. Don't be a jerk about it. It's a self-adjudicating sport, and we're all meant to be there to have fun. So just have fun. I'll see you next time. Well, I hope you found these tips for your first tournament useful. If I could just close with the thought, it would be just try and embrace the tournament. I know you're probably going to be a little anxious, maybe you're not, maybe you're made of tougher stuff than I am, but just embrace it, have fun, make it a joyous occasion, get on well with your card mates, and just watch, learn, inhale, just get as much out of it as you can, and you'll be the better player for it. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Found it. Second time around. Bonus tip, don't leave a soldier behind.